Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
My name is Paulinha and today I'm here with Slava Love. I'm so happy to be here with her today. And yeah, we're gonna have this beautiful talk I can feel. And yeah, very happy, Slava. It's always joyful and beautiful to be close to you.
Oh, likewise. We just dance with each other's vibe. I feel like, you're like my fairy sister.
Yeah, I love that. We are fairy sisters.
Yeah.
And it's good to share, to extend this. Yeah, it feels really good.
Oh, beautiful. I just feel very honored to be here and for the invitation. When you texted me, I was like, yes, right away. So yeah, it feels very wonderful, beautiful.
And I was feeling that maybe we can start from the beginning. Maybe you can share like how was the beginning of this journey for you, how like everything starts. Like I know you had like a deep calling for God, and how was it?
Yeah, when you talked about the beginning, what came in my mind is a parable that I have shared sometimes from when I was 10 years old. Yeah, and I was I had a cat. It looks like our Lucy here, like orange and white, and she was the love of my life. She slept with me every night, and yeah, I just poured my love on this. She was like my baby. And then one day I came home from school, and she had been hit by a car and had died. But my mom had already taken her to a hospital, because actually she died in my mom's arms on the way. And my mom left the body there. So when I come home from school, she's just gone.
She wasn't there.
Yeah. And I completely broke down and went in my room, and I just cried all day and all night, couldn't sleep. And then I went to school next day, and I couldn't go into school. I was just sitting in the playground and just crying. Just I couldn't bear that, this deep loss, like my heart had broken, like completely scattered. And so I when the school bell rang and the school was over, I walked back home and opened the door to our house. I was usually home alone for some hours, and I walk in the house, and then I look down to the living room, and there I see my grandmother sitting with my cat on the lap and patting her. And I heard in my mind, my grandmother said, "Svava, don't worry, I will take care of your cat." And then they disappeared. And my grandmother, she died when my mom was pregnant with me. Yeah, and I'm named after her. So when I saw this, I started questioning what is death and what is life. And I went into my room and I sat on my bed, and it was very natural to me to pray to God and Jesus, although I'm not raised Christian, but it was always very natural to me. So I asked God, can I die? And then I went out of the body, and I was floating in this endless space. Like it was so vast, and it was so much love, and I felt so safe. Like I was at home. I could like recognize this. Oh my God, this is me. Like I felt the presence of God, and it was me, one with me. And I don't know how long this experience was, but then I realized, I was back. I could see my body in my room, but I knew from that day, I knew that I could never die, that I am not this body. Wow. That I am eternal. So that is where my journey began, actually, you would say. yeah, and after that I was so open. I would see like in the movie I see dead people. I would see bodies and they would disappear on the street, and then I started like closing a bit down, and then I started having difficulties in life, very like huge sadness and depression, and you know, so the darkness, all this light I had seen, it just like opened the door into all this that had to be released. So I could remember that this is all I am, nothing else. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the beginning when I was 10. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love to hear your parables. Like, I don't know, every time I think of you, I think of this mystical realm. I don't know, that's why, like, the fairies, I love this, like, really. And I really relate to this. And the first question that came to my mind, that maybe you can share more about it, is like, how can we not be afraid of these mystical experiences? Because I even like with all these strong dark symbols arising for you, you have many, like you stay, I don't know, you stayed strong in this deep faith. And how you do it, like, I mean, what is the prayer of your heart that keeps you open, with open heart to this experience?
I think what has brought me through everything is my certainty in that Jesus is with me. And I actually had that deep experience when I was very small. When I was born, my parents, you know, were not planned on having a baby. They were living with my granddad, and then I came unexpected, and they didn't know what to do, and put me in a daycare when I was 3 weeks old. But so beautiful, all of it, you know, so much love, and you know. And my grandfather, he had a picture of Jesus in the hallway when you come in his apartment. And I was so fascinated by this. It was a picture of Jesus knocking on a door. And I remember I asked my dad, who is this? And my dad said to me, Svava, he is the best friend to all children in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't even say his name. Wow. He said he is the best friend of all children in the world. And my dad was my hero. So I so believed, my dad is telling me that this is my best friend. So I had this, like, from the beginning. I was probably just 2 years old or something. So I always had that with me, you know, that Jesus was with me. And my parents, they didn't go to church or anything unless it was a funeral or a wedding. But I just developed this very strong relationship with Jesus, and I would talk to him, and he was like my best friend. And I probably called it forced, but where we moved to another side of town, and my parents got their own apartment and everything. My uncle started coming more in my life, and he was a Pentecostal Christian, and he took me to his church sometimes. And I remember people singing, and they were like the Holy Rollers, you know. And I was just small, and I would look up like, oh, they love Jesus so much. Like I loved it so much, so I loved going with him.
You felt at home.
Yeah. And then a girl moved in an apartment close by. She was half American and half Icelandic. Her dad was from America, and they were Jehovah's Witnesses. And I asked my parents, can I go with Donna? Her name was Donna. Can I go with Donna to church? Yeah, sure. And Donna, she dressed me up in her dresses, and we went to church. So there was Jehovah's Witnesses. And later on, I think I was 6 years old, I asked my parents if I could go to Sunday school And that was our church.
Uh-huh.
So I would go to that church. And when I was reflecting back on this recently, I was thinking why I was so drawn, and it was the singing. They were singing to God and to Jesus. And that was my, like, I love to go there just because I wanted to sing to God and to Jesus. Yeah. And my uncle, he played the guitar in the church. So I was like with him and, singing. And so that was my passion, was the music always. But it like coming more clearly to me now. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my God, so inspiring.
Yeah. So I think my certainty has been there because I don't doubt that Jesus is with me. So I feel very, very blessed that all these, symbols showed up in my life to strengthen that.
This is the strongest foundation that we can have in this spiritual path, like this deep belief that he is our best friend.
Yeah. And he is.
I want to believe that. Sometimes I doubt. I need to confess. Like, where are you? But
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really join you in this prayer. I want to feel that. I do.
Oh, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, I do. And like when I feel, then when I truly believe that, I see him and I feel exactly the same. Yeah. Maybe it's a good time to ask, like, how can you stay so consistent in this now? Like how, because I know it was like a deep journey for you, as you mentioned about the depression and all the darkness came. How do you learn to stay consistent, like in this light and this faith? And I mean, you shared the foundation, but I don't know, I imagine that you had to take some steps to feel more consistent.
Yeah, definitely. It has been a deep dive and a very determined practice to not be carried away in the darkness. Although it would sometimes, but it has been a huge like practice and willingness to always, let it just pass through, like this too shall pass, and it always does. And and sometimes I would think, oh, it won't, I'm stuck in this now, but the practice of the course, when the course came in my life, that was the huge turning point. I had been for many years studying and reading, all kinds of things, and I went to India. I was reading a lot. I love Ramana Maharshi's teachings. And I went to India once, and I went to his ashram. And I walked up to the mountain, Arunachala, and I went into his cave. And I sat and meditated in his cave. And he came to me in the cave. And he asked me, Svava, why don't you shine?
I love this prayer.
And then, and my answer was, then I would be selfish. And then he said, Svava, that you will never be. So it was just such a trick, the ego. You will be selfish. If you shine, then I would not allow myself to truly blossom, like a flower. I would be like, it's better, because but it was such a trick, and it took me, years and years to really, understand it, and even understanding more and more and more, that we are here to shine, That is all we need to do, but it seems so difficult because we are just believing in things that are, untrue, simply untrue, But the practice after the course came, that really took me, because even going to India, and you know, I had deep dives, and you know, so and I was on my knees for, it was in 2000, yeah, about this time in 2015. I was on my knees and I was like, God, I really, really, really need help. I can't do this anymore. Please, please show me something that will help me pull through. Really, really, because I really want to be happy, you know. I just want to be the truth of me, you know. There must be a way. And then the Course showed up. I was watching a video with Eckhart Tolle, and this like came over me. I was, this is the answer. I knew it. There was no doubt. I knew that was my answer. That was it. It was my gift from God. Yes, Svava. Okay, you're ready. Here, this is for you. And then I remember I got the book in Danish first, and I opened it up, and I heard in my mind, no, Svava, you have to study this in English. And I was like, what is going on? It felt so mystical, like so out of this world. So I closed the book and I ordered it in English and waited, and then a week later it came, and it was like gold for me. It was like I would like carry it around, like almost like kissing it, and it's like, and if I would open it up, it would like this, like like over me.
All the fairies and angels.
Exactly.
Like
a Disney movie. And it was, and then, you know, my English was not great. I had some school English, and I could, you know, read basic, but reading the Course in English, and, you know, I was like, oh my God, all these words, I don't even know what they mean, but the book is like, and I would be using Google Translate and writing, and sometimes it wouldn't even translate it to Icelandic, like no word, like. And then I tried to translate to Danish. So my first book is like some stuff is in Danish, some in Icelandic, and some are like kind of explanations. And it took me so long to just read one page.
You know, but it's so beautiful. I just received this download here because it's so much love. I mean, sometimes I feel that Jesus knows our hearts so deeply that he put us in some situations that we have no like other way unless ask him. And like I see, like, thank you, because when you were sharing, I could see him, like it was his call for love. It was like, ask me, like I'll be your translator, like, right? I'll sing for you. I will. I will. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's he's like, just I want to be with you. Like he's like, it's the opportunity for us to be together.
Exactly.
And it's all that he wants.
Oh, beyond the words.
Beyond the book.
He even says, you know, forget this book, and it is this. Ta-da! That's it. It's like
feel
wash of love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's fun. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. He just wants us to know that we are loved. You know, that we are so unconditionally loved. You know.
And nothing else matters. Like, I mean,
there is
nothing English,
else.
Nothing else. Like, nothing. Like, just this. Like, just this deep willingness to join him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
He's just here calling us, come with me, all the time. Like, you know. Last week, he came so strongly to me and said, Svava, because I've been listening to like worship music for years, and like, you know, putting Jesus, you know, and then he said to me, Svava, I don't want you to, you don't need to worship me anymore. Take my hand and walk with me to the light. Wow. You're done with worshiping me, you know, like there is no separation. So it was like, and I've been hearing that it's like, it's time to ascend, you know. It's oneness now, you know, to really, really realize that we are the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the new songs.
Well, it's so funny because I've been, I think for over a year, I was like, I had very clearly heard that I would make these three albums. Mm-hmm. And I, from the beginning, he told me the titles and the covers, everything. It was like, and then he said that you will still make music, but it will be different. And I had coming to me so much like, music there is like very ethereal, like even more, and not many words. Mm-hmm. Like it's like
more abstract.
Yeah, it's more like an experience of the presence. And I've been downloading, all kinds of, frequencies, music, different frequencies, and listening to music for many, many months now with like 528 is called the Divine Love Frequency. Mm-hmm. And I've been like researching on my software how to, put the tune in, in Logic Pro is what I use. So I do that and then... so it's new and I'm still researching things. Like it's like a wash of like new download of I have no idea what's happening, but not so many words really. It feels like it's very direct and an experience. So but not even completely clear to me yet. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm just willing to share here with our friends that I think most of them know you because I share your songs a lot. Okay. And I'm actually gonna share here in the link below the albums that she has on Spotify. And if you already have the Frequência do Amor playlist, you probably heard so many songs are there. And yeah, maybe you can share like how this, because you said that the music was your calling since like when you were like little girl. But the beginning of this like channeling, like really making songs for Jesus is so beautiful. Like how do you learn to play guitar? And she had like many parables. Like we can talk here forever with all these beautiful mystical experiences. But yeah, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, I like you said, music is been there always and been helped me through so much. But starting to receive songs, it was when one parable is when I heard in my mind it's to start to learn to play the guitar. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a guitar. I had no idea. So, but I remember they had a guitar at La Casa de Milagros. So I was over there one day and no one was using it. So I borrowed it. And then I started looking on YouTube how to play. And then shortly after, I just started receiving songs in dreams. I would wake up in the middle of the night and the song in my mind. And I knew that I had to record it like now because I knew if I would fall asleep, it would be gone. And I would, run out of bed and, so wouldn't wake up David or, and then I would go out and sing and record it. And then I would go to sleep and next day I would listen and then I would try to figure out how to play it on the guitar and some songs would come in meditations and quite often when I was like near water, like hearing a river or even in shower, I would hear songs. It was like something with the sound of water, and there was at that time with the guitar I received 6 songs in 12 days. And then I heard in my mind, you are to play these songs and the guitar and sing at the retreat. And the retreat was 3 weeks later. and I was like, no way, I'm not going to do it. I can't even move my fingers. fast, it was like a mess, I don't even play the guitar very well. Even now, it's like I know basics just to receive the songs, but I knew that this was gonna happen. It was for my undoing, because I was so, perfectionistic. I wouldn't do anything unless it was like perfect. And I've always like thoughts about making a fool of myself and, not sing well enough. I will, mess it up, and all the people be staring at me, and, all these like, but still I knew it was going to happen. It's like, crap, it's going to happen.
I need to learn how to step back.
And I was like learning the songs and everything. But then at this retreat, there were probably like 20 people or something. And I remember I started singing, and I was amazed, because it was like, Spirit was just singing, and I could see on the faces of people that they were so touched by the melody and the lyrics, and people were having tears running. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I didn't understand what is happening, But I could see it wasn't Svava doing. It was because Svava was out of the way. That was, it was just Spirit, extending the message of love. And that really showed me that it's not personal, and that Spirit's got it. I need to do nothing. It's all like, all I need to do is surrender to this, and then it's a gift for myself and everyone. And in that, simultaneously, the ego beliefs will be washed away. So it was like 3 in 1 or whatever, everything at the same time,
Yeah.
So so that is kind of the beginning of it. Although in January 2018 we started the online retreats, and I was put together with Eric to do music, and I had no idea what to, I was like, what? Do music with Eric? And then Sarah, our friend Sarah St. Clair, I remember she said, I'm feeling something new is gonna come. And I was like, okay, we'll see. And then I started hearing songs there on walks. So actually I received maybe, 4 songs or something there that Eric and I, it was so funny because the songs were like Holy Son of God, and Eric, he was like, Svava, you can't be singing that. At that point, he's different now, but at that, it was years ago. It was like, no, people don't resonate. You can't sing. No. He had a lot of undoing to surrender to the songs that I was receiving. So it was a lot of undoing, for both of us. So it was so beautiful, and we sang these songs there, and so some had come already, but I didn't know how to play or anything, and so it's been quite a ride. And then I was guided to learn the music software and all that, and I'm not technical at all. Like, well, that is just a belief. Now I can do a lot of things, I guess, in this area, but and now just diving even more deeper. Yeah.
Really, I can't wait to hear the next songs. I was feeling to maybe go back a little bit and ask you about that parable when you met David. I love this one. Because everything shifted for you since that, right? When you met him, and then like your whole life.
Inform, everything changed.
Yeah.
I was I had been studying the course myself for probably 6-7 months, and I felt like I wanted to go deeper. I had this like feeling there was so much more, and then I just prayed to be shown, and then the next day or 2 days later or something, it showed up this retreat with David in Holland. And at that time I was living in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
And I had not traveled on my own, or I was very like shy and just in my apartment and with my teenage sons. But anyway, then his retreat showed up, and I don't even know why. I wasn't even searching for a retreat. I don't remember really, but I felt like, wow, it was like it was already done. Like I had already been there, and I had not been following David as a teacher either. It was just like, who is this guy?
No past at all.
Who is this guy? Yeah, and then I signed up for this retreat, and then I got in a lot of fear. Like, oh my God, this is too much. I can't, all filled with people I don't know, and talking English and whatever, and it was just so overwhelming. So I tried to cancel, but the organizer never answered me.
The email.
He never answered me, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm supposed to go. I also knew it.
This is so amazing. Like, Jesus is amazing. Like, she actually sent the email, but they never got this email. Like, I feel like sometimes Jesus did this. Like,
actually, a few years ago, we were in Holland and the guy was there. And David asked him, did you get this email? And, what happened? And he actually said, I actually saw it, but I was guided not to answer you.
Whoa. See, I don't know. It's perfect.
So, it was
beautiful.
funny. And then, I decided, okay, I surrendered. Yeah, I know, I'm going to go there. And then I had to, fly from Copenhagen to Amsterdam, and then I had to take 2 different trains and a bus out to nowhere. I've never been in Holland, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? I was just in so much, fear and stress. I went on Google and I wrote down the trains, what platform. I figured out where they would go and what time, and it was all planned.
Okay.
It was all planned. and then I was on the flight, and I was sitting there, and then I hear in the speaker, we are delayed. And we sat there for an hour, and I was like, oh my God, my plan. My plan doesn't work anymore. And I started praying. So I just started praying, okay, God, I know this is what I'm to do. I know that I'm good to go there. And now my plan is out of the window. So please, 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 please help me. And I prayed. It was like 2.5 hour flight. I was just in prayer all the way. And then when the flight was landing, suddenly I could feel this fear. It was like, it just, it went like this, and on the other side it was so much excitement. The flip side of it, I was just like, oh my God, and I just was like in ecstasy, I made it. I'm in Holland now. I'm oh my God. And then I started asking people before we were leaving, people taking their bags and all that, and I just started asking people, I'm going to this place, and I had the address. Does anyone know where this is and how to get there? And there was a man there. He said, my parents live there. And I was like, oh my God. Wow. And then he told me where to go. And then I went down and I asked people where to get tickets. And people, seriously, they would just walk with me all the way, and help me. And, she needs a ticket to, it was just all the way through. Even in the end, when I was going to the bus, there was these 2 teenage girls. I asked them where the bus was to this place, and they walked with me, it was quite a bit of walk all the way to the bus to let me on the bus. And they weren't even going on that bus. You know, it just all these angels everywhere. I was just so taken care of. And I could see, like, my prayer, Svava, you don't have to plan anything.
Wow.
You don't have to do anything. I'll take care of you, you know. If you're just open, you know, to see and listen and follow and let and receive the help, you know. Wow. And then I got out of the bus and it was dark. It was like Sunday evening. I was arriving the day before the retreat because I was flying in and all that. So there were a few people flying in. And I got out of the bus and it was dark and I was like, okay, Jesus, what now? And then I heard, turn around and knock on the door on the house behind you. And I turned around and it was light. It looked like a light in the living room in this house. It was like 9:30 in the evening and it was dark, you know, in most houses. So I walked down and I knocked on the door and this sweetest elderly couple opened the door and they didn't speak any English. And I tried to like explain and then I showed them the address. I had the paper with the address. And the man, he just momento, and then he went and he made a drawing for me first. He made a drawing for me how to get there. And then he looked at me and then he talked to his wife and then he just took his shoes on and he went out with me and started he took my bag even. He carried my bag half the way until we could see the retreat center. And then he gave me the bag and he said,
again, no words needed. Like, you don't need to understand the language. Nothing.
No, it was just so much love. It was just like, I was just serenaded by angels. Wow. You know, once my own plan was out of the window, I was serenaded by angels. It was just washed with grace. Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And then I was so high. I was so happy. I was just like on fire. And I walked into this retreat center and there were like, I don't know, 10 people sitting there having, you know, coffee before going to bed. It was like the organizers and all that. And I just walked in there like, is this the retreat with David Hoffmeister? I was like, and they looked at me like, yeah. I was like, yay! I made it! I'm here! And they were all like, joined me in the joy and, you know, gave me coffee and yeah. And then the next day at breakfast, before, you know, all the people came, it was just very, not many people there actually. So I was there and having breakfast and then David walked in and I was like, oh my God, I know him so well. Like I know him from, I couldn't even explain it. I just knew him. And I knew that this was much bigger than I had imagined. Like this was gonna change my life. And I had no idea how or anything, and through these 5 days there, Jesus just guided me, spoke to me. The first day he said, Svava, you need to talk to David. You need to ask for a talk with David. I didn't even know what a one-on-one was. You know, I didn't know the words. It was, you need to talk to David. And I was like, no way. Yeah, I can't do that. And then I said, Jesus, if I'm to talk to David, you have to organize it. And then this first evening we were having a movie gathering. And I came in early and I'm always the good student. Come in early and sit and be quiet, you know. And then I was sitting there in one of the front rows there and I saw David come in and he walked into the next room where they had books. And I heard in my mind, okay, Svava, now I have arranged it for you. Now you go and talk to David.
Wow.
And I was like, no way. My heart was jumping out of my chest. And seriously, I was sitting like this, and I was just holding my hands. I was just
because
holding
you
onto
knew
the
he's
chair.
gonna move your body, right?
But then suddenly my legs started walking, and it was like a cartoon, like whoa!
Puppets.
And then I suddenly was standing in front of David, and I was like, could I? Like I was just like that. I couldn't speak, and somehow I said if I could, talk to him, and he said, yeah, we could talk, and he said that we could do it tomorrow because it's going to be late tonight after the movie. And then I said, thank you. And then I walked away, and then I walked back. I said, it took me huge courage to ask you. And then he said, I'm so glad you did. And then and then it was so funny. Then after the movie, then I think it was Francis or someone announced that David will not be having any one-on-ones. And I was like, oh, maybe it's cancelled then. And then I didn't expect anything then. I just like, okay, well, I guess it's, they changed it or whatever. But then the next day, I think it was maybe Jenny or someone came and David is trying to find you. And then okay, it is. And then then we sat outside in the sunshine, and it was like time and everything just disappeared, and Jesus was just guiding me what to ask, what to say. It was so mystical, and the trees and the sunbeams coming in, it was just like out of the world. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening with my life? I was like, what is happening with my life? And then in the evening, I felt like, oh my God, my heart is exploding with love. Like, I can't contain this. It's just, and I didn't sleep all night. I heard over and over in my mind the song with Celine Dion and Barbara Streisand called "Tell Him." Do you know that song?
No, which one?
It was just, I didn't even know it that well either. But it just started, and I found it on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like, okay, I understand. Tell him. I had to tell him that I have so much love for him, like that it was opening something, like. But I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I'll do it right before I leave, like. And then I wrote to David on Messenger. And I didn't even know if he even used Messenger. But I wrote to him that I needed to tell him something. But no hurry, just before I leave. And then he wrote right back, we can meet before breakfast. And I was like, no.
Oh my God.
And then I was in so much fear. And the funny thing is, I had signed up to share a room with a roommate. I thought, okay, Svava, you gotta be brave, share a room, be social and everything. But no one showed up ever. So I was sitting there and in fear. And David, he was gonna come in my room and to join with me. And I had to express all this. I was like, Svava, what are you doing? Like, what is happening?
The form looks a mess. You are inviting like a guy to come to your room.
What is going on? And then this has happened to me sometimes in my life in very important situations, that Jesus showed up.
Oh yeah, this.
Yeah, and my bed was here, and there was supposed to be a roommate that wasn't there on the other bed, and Jesus showed up on the bed. He was sitting on the bed, and he said to me, Svava, remember that no matter what happens, that I am always with you. And then he disappeared, and then David comes in, and he sits right where Jesus had been sitting. And I was just like, oh my God, what's that? And then it just fell out of me. Like, I'm in love with you. Yeah. And then he said, I'm in love with you too. And yeah, so there was just a beginning of I had no idea. It was a beginning of undoing everything. But I didn't know, I didn't know the depth of the Course. I didn't know about a community. I didn't know anything. But it was like, it was so guided, and it was out of my hands, all of it. And it was all pre-arranged, and I knew it in my heart. And then, we were there for 5 days, and then I had to go back. But I knew that my life will not be the same, and I came back to Denmark, and I knew that I had to follow this. It was my calling. It was my calling to God, and this was my gift. Although I didn't understand any of it at that point, and so I said, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I had, at that point, my twins were almost 15. And, but they were not, they were like every other week with me, or 10 days with me, and then 5 with my ex, back and forth. So they were used to, being not always with me. But I was like, Jesus, if I'm to follow this, you have to be so clear and show me. It has to be so obvious, because this is deep,
Yeah.
And then I was blowing out candles in my living room, and I've shared this story many times. And then one of the candles this had never happened before. It just, I don't know what happened to my arm, and then the wax just ran over a photo of me and my sons, and it just deleted me out of the photo. The wax they were just, I was out. And then I heard in my mind, how does this feel? And then I had this huge heart opening, like this wash of universal love, and all these like sticky, mom concept love, it just disappeared.
Wow.
It disappeared instant, like that. And I could feel this like pure, beautiful love towards my sons. It was like, wow. And then I said, it feels good. It feels right. And then I heard, job well done.
Wow.
And
assignment complete.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, I need help to share this with them as well. And a few days later, at a dinner table, it just came out of me. I just shared it all, and they just looked at me, Mom, you gotta go. You have to follow your heart. You always told us to follow our heart. Now it's your time. You do that. And that reflection, and my parents, everyone was so supportive. I had 2 cats too, and my parents said, we can take your cats. And it was like everything, like my trip there. It was just like everything I was like, unbelievable. Like, wow, okay, yeah, it's so obvious I have to follow this. And then in the meantime, I was also, this was in September 2016. And I flew to the monastery in late September, actually, for a retreat here, and to meet David again. And then I went back, and then I flew to Australia to meet him as well. He was touring there, him and Francis, and then I went back again, and then we met around Christmas, right before Christmas in Spain. We had another center in Spain at that point, and just for a few days, and then back. And then I was in between, unwinding from everything, giving everything away. And I had, honestly, I had like 400 books of like spiritual books, like, all kinds of stuff. And I gave all the Danish books to, it was like a center for people with mental illness that would come there during the day and, hang out and, have someone to talk to or cook a meal or something. So suddenly they got a library with books of...
And blessed. This is beautiful because when you really have courage to follow our hearts, this blesses like everybody, like no exception. It's a blessing.
Yeah, exactly. For everyone. Yeah. So and then I went, with one suitcase, I went to Mexico. I had Christmas with my family, and then I went. My parents took me to the airport, and I went, to Mexico, and like I said, I didn't even know about Community. When I arrived, I hadn't even seen the websites. Yeah. It was like Jesus was like, that have been would have maybe to stop me from going.
Yeah, I know. I had that too. It didn't.
So I didn't know. I thought I was just gonna go and live with this guy that I loved. Isn't that funny? Yeah. And little did I know.
He knows how to get us.
Yeah, exactly. And I had let go of everything. I had, I had been renting my parents' apartment for 10, 12 years. And they actually said, we're going to sell it. So they sold the apartment. All my stuff was gone. I had one suitcase with clothes.
It was fast.
It was fast. Yeah. Oh. And so when I came to Mexico, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Who are these people? I remember David said he came and he was gonna buy a TV on the way, and I came a day earlier, and then he wrote to me, ask Auntie to come set up the TV. I was like, who is Auntie? Who is this Auntie?
What happened with my fairy tale romance?
It's like, what is going on? Who are these people?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. And I, like I said, I had no idea about Community or anything, And but it's always, we have an individual, how Spirit will, convince us.
Yeah.
And I because I had let go of everything, I was like, I had these thoughts in the beginning, how am I going to escape from here? But I was like, I have no home. I have nowhere to
go. So beautiful. Oh my God.
So, wow, yeah. Jesus really got me there. Thank God. Today I was like, oh my God, it was all a blessing, all of it. Yeah. the seeming tricks, I was like so angry. You tricked me too. He would just laugh at me, Always like, Svava, don't take anything seriously. It was like always telling me that, like, so but.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm feeling here that maybe we can talk with, like, probably have some moms like watching us here. Uh-huh. I know we have some students that are like working on like this mom self-concept. And it's so beautiful because was an experience, wasn't something like I want to undo this mom self-concept. Everything was so guided, and I don't know, I see you sometimes you share some pictures with your sons and you feel so connected. And I don't know, maybe you can talk a little bit about this fear of undoing this self-concept and how actually, because I did like inner work to unwind this self-concept, like in the other side. And right now I feel more connected with my mom and my dad, like without the role and without the expectations. But I had fear, like, wow, how is it gonna look? Like I'm not gonna have mom, like I'm gonna abandon them. Like how is this? But it's actually like this experience, and you don't feel like lost. Actually, you feel more connected, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's I feel like I have a beautiful relationship with my parents now, my sons, my sister, it feels so like clear. It's like washed away, and I can see, you know, their reflections as well. Like, you know, I remember in the beginning when I was feeling kind of like, you know, the guilt, and then my mom would be, you know, constantly like, she was texting, you know, why aren't you calling me? You know, all these like, but today we actually don't talk a lot. You know, she sometimes sent me some recipes, but there is so much love. I can like feel it, and it's like we have released each other. You know, I have released, you know, the stickiness from my mind, and they reflect that back at me, you know. And my sons, you know, they are, you know, in school, and they're 21 now, and living their lives. But I know, and they know as well, that I am always here for them, you know. And because they know that, they are not calling me all the time, because they feel, you know, the safety in it. Like, it's beyond. And also, you know, when I seemingly left, I remembered that it was like in my mind, Spirit's got them.
Wow.
Spirit has got them, all of them, because I knew that Spirit was guiding me to do this, and I knew that my work would benefit everyone, and that I know that I can see it now, that what I have been doing has brought them in it too, you know. So it's not just for me, you know. Even, you know, my sons and all of them. I have a goddaughter. My sister has a daughter. She's 9 years old. She's adorable. Yeah, but all of them, they are just, you know, they're in my heart, and they know that I love them, you know. I know I'm not in doubt at all, you know.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have this question that I know that it's like maybe many people have this question too, like how is to be with David like all the time, because I mean he's always firing up, like he's like all on fire, like in function, like how is it for you, like being with him like all the time? And
it was a lot of undoing in the years, you know, to be with someone who was so seemingly busy, you know. And what about me, you know? This huge undoing of, but I learned that my gift is to extend my skills, you know, get in contact with my gifts, and to share, you know, and to just be myself, you know, not dependent on another body, you know. So it was a lot of wash, like really, really deep, huge darkness, and, you know, so much fear and all kinds of, you know, all ego stuff, you know, come up. And that is, you know, the gift of relationship. And then seeing that, wow, God is in me, you know. I am complete and whole, just as I am, and I'm in need of nothing. It doesn't mean that I, you know, love and enjoy. It's just, you know, now we just are in the joy of it, you know. And I, you know, have learned more and more to just step into my strength, you know, really into my gifts that is at this point has been given, you know, writing and, you know, music and all that. And that is, you know, things flow and change in this world and nothing is consistent. So yeah, at this point it has been that. And I, you know, I wrote I started writing in 2020. I started writing poetry a lot, like, and quotes. I was going through so much hurt and devastation and darkness, like the worst time of my life, I think. One of, very intense. But Spirit just started giving me poetry to just walk through it all, like, and all the poems would be like into the light in the end, and quotes and like insights. And I was writing and writing and writing and writing, and I had no idea I had written so much, because then I was guided to put it together, to start collecting everything, to put it in a book. And I was like, oh my God, it was on and on. When did I write all these poetry? It was like over 100 poems. And quotes like 200. It's like, and it was just so much, and so much deep insights. And so I was guided to put it together, and I've been working on that, and yeah, hopefully it will be out. Yeah, in the beginning of next year. It's called All I Am Is Love.
All I Am Is Love.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Can't wait to read this book.
It's like 237 pages.
Wow, with
poems and quotes. And when I was putting it together, I had this deep inspiration to do some art. I used to paint a lot when I was a girl, so I have there are like 10. It was kind of a 10 chapters in the book, and 10 pieces of art.
Oh, beautiful.
Well. Yeah. And then it was so amazing, because it came to me to send the book to different authors to endorse the book. And I had absolutely no expectations. It was like, right, write to Gary Renard and Alan Cohen and famous writers, but it was so strong. Svava, do it. Okay, I did. And I have like 7 endorsements from like writers, and amazing endorsements. I was like, oh my God, the book is like, wow. And last week I had a friend, she was just going through it, the last, to check if there were any, misspellings or anything. And she was like, oh my God, Svava, you could do a retreat with just proofreading of this book, because she's just like having so many insights, and it's a huge journey just, doing that. She was like, oh, it's such a gift. So
I like this idea. Maybe you can have one in Brazil.
Yeah. Who knows? We might need to translate it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to do
this. Sweet.
Beautiful. Yeah. And maybe we can close here, like, for you, like, sharing from your heart, like, because it really looks like you will learn how to shine your light. So yeah, how we can do this and join you in this prayer and whatever you feel that it's in your heart.
Yeah, I invite you all to join me and Jesus, the Holy Spirit, God, in the light, to remember that is all there is. There is only light. You need only be who you are, because that is all you are. The light of truth shines forever in the heart of God. And you are one with God forever.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for showing us the way.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
We are. And I'm so happy for this. Thank you, really.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And thank you for joining us here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
See you.